All right. So we're going to start looking at a new method for solving systems of equations. So we have some methods so far. We have graphing, and we also have substitution method. There were two types of substitution method. There was setting them equal to each other, and then there was also just taking one part and substituting it in to the other equation. All right, so there are two different substitution methods. There was graphing. Now we're doing our final solution, our final method for finding the solution to a system of equations, and it's called the elimination method. There's a specific time that you would use this method. So sometimes we will be given the equations that have both variable terms on the same side of the equal sign. In this case, we will use a method called elimination method to find the solution. So I'm going to go through what that means. So here we go. Given two equations that have variable terms on the same side, okay, so variable terms meaning the x variable and the y variable, they're on the same side of the equal sign instead of on opposite sides, we have to use what's called the elimination method. So take a look at example number 2. Solve the following system of equations using the elimination method. We have equation number 1 here. We have x plus y equals 21. And then we have another equation here, x minus y equals 9. So if you notice, I have both the x term and the y term on the left side of the equation in the first equation and on the left side of the equation in the second equation. There's no substitution method I can do here. I don't have a y equals or an x equals, okay? So we are going to use, like I said, what's called the elimination method. And what it means is elimination means get rid of, right? So if I use this method correctly, I should be getting rid of one of the variable terms, one variable, so that when I'm finished with my method, I should only have one variable. And if I only have one variable, I'm able to solve for that variable. So how am I going to do that? Well, what we're going to do is we are going to actually add together the pieces of the equations that are like terms. So remember back in 7th grade when they said like terms. Okay, like terms are things that are alike, things that can be combined. So like terms here are this x is a like term with this x. They're both x terms. Okay, this y variable, which I'm going to put the plus with it because we always want to keep track of our signs, right? So these two y terms are also like terms because they both have a y in them. These numbers right here don't have any variables. They're called the constant terms, and they are like as well. So what we are doing in this elimination method is we are combining these terms together. So remember, combining means add. So I'm actually going to add all of these terms together. I'm going to show you exactly what that means. We're going to put them all together into one equation. I'm going to start with the x's. I'm going to put grouping symbols here. These parentheses just group things together. They're going to end up being dropped, but I just want you to see the different portions. So there's 3 portions. There's the x's portion, there's the y's portion, and then there's the constant values portion. So I have my x's. So here's this x, okay? Now this x is here, and it's positive, so we're adding a positive x. I don't have to put another sign. It's just plus, okay? I'm also going to use a plus to separate the different pieces, all right? Remember, plus signs separate terms. So each one of these pieces is kind of like a term, and I'm just using a plus to separate them. That's all. All right, now let's look at the y's. I have this positive y here, okay? And then I have a negative y here. So I'm going to put minus y, all right? You could also put plus negative y if you want, but 2 operations next to each other gets a little dicey. You don't need to do that. The plus sign only separates terms. If you have a minus sign there, you can just use the minus sign. All right, I have my equal sign because that's where that goes, right? And now I'm going to add my 2 blue boxes. What's 21 plus 9? That gives me a 30. Okay, I also could just write it like this. I'm going to write it like this for now, just so we can understand what we're doing. Okay, not get too ahead of ourselves. So now we have this equation that looks kind of crazy, but what happened here is we've set ourselves up for success. And the success is we want to get an equation that only has one variable. We don't care what kind of variable it is, but I only want one. Now, you're saying, Mr. Hartrick, you still have 2 variables. You got your x and your y. Well, one of these is going to get eliminated, and I'll show you why in a second. First, let's simplify this. X plus x gives me what? 2x. So I've got 2 x's here. Okay, I've got my plus sign here. I'll just bring that down. Now, what's y take away y? That's a 0. Okay? That's a 0. Well, if that's a 0, do we really need to put plus 0? No, but I guess I'll leave it there for now. And then let's add these together. Like we said before, that was 30, right? Okay, so I've done a little simplification, and what I've found is I've gotten this equation here, which only has x terms. What was our objective? To only get an x. So our elimination method eliminated the y variable. There is no more y variable in my current equation right here. I have 2x plus 0 equals 30. Remember, x plus 0 is not going to change anything. Anytime we add 0, doesn't change anything. And remember, mathematicians are lazy. So if I'm not going to put a plus 0 because that's not going to tell me, or I don't need it, right? I don't need it. Plus 0 is not going to do anything. So I actually only have this equation right here, 2x equals 30. This is a super easy equation to solve. All I have to do is divide by 2 on both sides. That's the only thing left in order to get x by itself, dividing by 2. So there weren't all these like crazy steps, right? I'm finding x very quickly here, x to be 15. And that's why the substitution or the elimination method is a lot easier, I think, than the substitution method, because I've eliminated one variable and I only had one more step in order to figure out what x is. Now I have x, remember I still got to find y, so y went away per se when I was solving for x, but it doesn't go away in terms of the answer. There still is a y answer, we got to find it. How are we going to find it? Well, let's go back to one of the original equations and rewrite it. So I'll just take the first one, x plus y equals 21. I'm going to substitute in. So I'm still doing a little bit of substitution in elimination method, but not at the beginning. I'm only doing it at the end to find the other variable. So I'm putting 15 in for x. And now I just have to solve for y. So I have y right here. I just need to get rid of this 15. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract 15. Subtracting 15 on both sides will give me my answer. All I have left, first of all, these 15s cancel, which is what I wanted. All I have left on this side is my y, which is what I'm trying to find. I have my y isolated, so all I need to do is this subtraction here, which should give me a 6. So I found my x, I found my y. Now I just need my solution statement, and I'm all good. So I'm going to say the solution is 15, 6. And that is your intro to elimination method. We're going to get a lot of practice on this, okay? So I will see you in the next videos.